Imagine a silent tsunami sweeping across nations, altering lives, and reshaping the very definition of health. It's not a virus, but something equally, maybe even more pervasive. The global rise of obesity. And right now, one of the world's most populous countries, India, it stands at the epicenter of a rapidly accelerating crisis.
He really does.
This isn't just impacting millions in bustling city centers, it's quietly transforming health in, quiet rural villages and stretching across every single generation.
Absolutely.
What if the very notion of healthy weight we've held on to isn't universally true, especially for certain populations? What if the future of managing this global challenge involves therapies so powerful they could fundamentally revolutionize how we think about diet and exercise? Not as isolated efforts, but as part of a comprehensive medical approach.
It's a huge shift in thinking.
Get ready, because today we are going to dive deep into a groundbreaking new report that reshapes our understanding of obesity, particularly in India. It reveals surprising facts, cutting-edge treatments, and a holistic approach that connects individual health to society itself. Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we unpack complex information, distill the most important insights, and hopefully give you that aha moment without the information overload.
That's the goal.
Today, we're tearing into the latest Endocrine Society of India's Clinical Practice Guidelines for the evaluation and management of obesity in India, updated for 2025. This isn't just, another dry medical document. It's a critical roadmap. It helps us understand a health phenomenon that touches us all, directly or indirectly.
Definitely.
Our mission today, to arm you with the crucial knowledge from these updated guidelines from the surprising epidemiology unique to India, to the incredible new medications now available, and the vital human element of counseling and social support that makes all the difference.
Yeah, and it's truly remarkable how quickly these guidelines have evolved. I mean, the previous recommendations were only published back in 2022.
Just a few years ago.
Exactly. But the pace of development in the obesity space, particularly in India, it's just necessitated this rapid update. We're seeing new clinical studies, novel drug approvals gaining real traction, improved availability of these powerful medications, and, importantly, even reduced costs for some anti-obesity treatments.
That's huge.
It really reflects a dynamic, fast-evolving field that's bringing, I think, real hope to millions.
Okay, before we fully immerse ourselves in this fascinating discussion, we want to give a special shout out to London Heartbeat's Z Academy UK. They've provided invaluable educational support for this deep dive.
Definitely appreciate their support.
If you're as curious as we are and you love expanding your knowledge, you absolutely need to explore their extensive offerings. London Heartbeat Z Academy provides over 150 popular courses designed for learners like you, covering a vast array of topics with thorough and engaging educational experiences.
Yeah, they cover a really wide range. Very impressive.
So do yourself a favor. Check out their popular courses, subscribe to their social media channels. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for free, regular updates, and make sure you don't miss out on future amazing discussions and learning opportunities.
And, for those truly dedicated to going the extra mile, consider subscribing to their higher level of YouTube membership. This offers perks like early access to educational videos and even personal chats and guidance sessions. It provides a truly tailored learning experience.
Yeah, we highly recommend checking them out. Okay, let's unpack this crucial document.
Yeah.
It highlights 4 key domains that specifically required an update. First, the fast-changing epidemiology of obesity, especially within India.
Right.
Second, a comprehensive summary of the latest pharmacological options, the medicine.
Drugs, yeah.
Third, the essential role of associated medication counseling. Can't just hand out pills.
Absolutely not.
Crucial part.
And finally, novel concepts in the psychosocial aspects of obesity management. So looking beyond just the physical, the whole picture.
We're going to tackle each of these head-on, giving the complete picture. Let's begin with a story, just to kind of anchor our discussion. Imagine Shilpa, a vibrant woman in her late 30s, living in a rural Indian village.
Okay.
For generations, her family has been farmers, active from dawn till dusk, their lives dictated by the rhythm of the land. Yet Shilpa finds herself struggling with her weight, a problem her grandmother never knew, a challenge that seems to have appeared almost overnight in her community.
That's a common story, unfortunately.
She's noticing her energy wane, her knees ache with this dull persistence, and her doctor recently mentioned she's pre-diabetic, a term probably unfamiliar to her elders.
Yeah.
What's happening in Shilpa's world that her ancestors didn't face?
Yeah.
This story isn't unique. It's a micro-reflection of the macro trends we're about to explore, particularly this fast-changing epidemiology of Indian obesity. It makes the data we're about to discuss incredibly real.
Shilpa's experience perfectly illustrates the practical application of understanding these epidemiological shifts. It's not simply about individual choices, is it?
No, it seems much broader.
It's about the broader environment, changes in access to food, shifts in physical activity patterns, and these larger societal transformations that silently reshape health landscapes, even in seemingly traditional communities. Her situation really helps us connect the statistics to the profound human impact.
There's a silent epidemic unfolding across India, and it's not what you think. It's a health crisis that's been quietly growing for decades, affecting millions. But what if I told you that the way we've been taught to see it, the very definition of it, is wrong? What if the greatest dangers are the ones we can't even see? Today, we're diving deep into a story of absolutely staggering numbers, hidden risks, and a medical revolution that is poised to change everything. Stick around because this is important. So, let's start with a question for you. How many times have you heard about BMI, the body mass index? It's that one simple number we've all been told to use to figure out if we're healthy. But what if that number is lying to you? What if having a normal BMI doesn't actually mean you're in the clear? This isn't just a hypothetical. For millions of people, it's a dangerous reality, and it's right at the very heart of India's unique health challenge. To really grasp the scale of what we're talking about, let's just start with this number: 254 million. Just let that sink in for a moment. That is the estimated number of adults in India living with what we call generalized obesity. It is a massive, massive public health issue. But believe it or not, that's only scratching the surface. Because you see, when we dig a little deeper and look specifically at abdominal obesity, we're talking about that high-risk fat that accumulates around your waist, that number jumps. It jumps to an incredible 351 million people. This is the kind of fat that's directly tied to some of the most serious metabolic diseases. And even this doesn't give us the complete picture. So what does 351 million actually mean in the real world? It means that nearly 40%, almost 39.5% of the entire adult population in India is dealing with abdominal obesity. Think about that. That's almost 2 out of every 5 adults you meet. The sheer size of this problem means we can't keep thinking about it in the old ways. We desperately need a new playbook, and we need a whole new set of tools. And this brings us to what makes India's story so incredibly unique. See, this crisis isn't just about the numbers we can count. It's about what we see on the outside versus what's really happening on the inside. There's a hidden factor, especially for people of South Asian descent, that makes this challenge so much more complex. And that hidden factor has a name. It's called the thin fat phenotype. I know, it sounds like a complete contradiction, right? How can you be thin and fat at the same time? Well, it's also known as normal weight obesity. It's a situation where someone's BMI is perfectly normal, but their body composition is way out of balance. They have a high percentage of body fat and not enough muscle. This is sometimes called the YY paradox. It means people can look thin, they can look healthy, but on the inside they're carrying the exact same metabolic risks like diabetes and hypertension as someone who is visibly obese. Let's make this real with a story. I want you to meet Priya. She's a young professional, busy with her career, feels totally fine. Her BMI is 23. That's well within the normal range. But she goes for a routine checkup, and her blood work comes back with a red flag: high triglycerides and blood sugar that's creeping up. Her doctor sits her down and explains that even though her weight is normal, she has a high amount of visceral fat around her organs. Priya is a perfect real-world example of this thin fat phenotype. And without making a change, she's on a direct path to some very serious health problems. And here's the really crucial part. Priya is not some rare case. Not at all. Her situation is incredibly common. Just look at the data. Studies have shown the prevalence of this thin fat condition is around 15% in Chennai and 16% in Mumbai, and it gets even more concerning. In a study of high-risk folks in Kerala, that number shot up to 30%. So no, this isn't some fringe issue. It's a massive, under-the-radar public health crisis.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's big, it's complicated, and it's often hidden. But here's where the entire story pivots. For decades, the main advice has been diet and exercise, right? But the medical options were, frankly, pretty limited. Well, that has all changed. A new generation of medicines is causing a seismic shift, a revolution in how we treat obesity. It's offering real, tangible hope and results that were once unimaginable. Let's take a look at what's in this new medical toolkit. Just take a look at this chart. Honestly, these results are nothing short of revolutionary. In clinical trials, new drugs like tirzepatide have led to an average weight loss of almost 21%. 21%. Semaglutide is right there with it at nearly 17%. Now, compare that to the placebo group, who lost just over 2%. We have never seen this kind of effectiveness from a medication before. This isn't just an improvement, it's a total game changer.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth do these things work? Well, in simple terms, semaglutide targets a receptor in our body called GLP-1, while tirzepatide is a dual-action drug hitting both GIP and GLP-1 receptors. Both of them work by making you feel less hungry and helping your body manage blood sugar more effectively. These are seriously powerful tools, usually recommended for people with a BMI over 27 or over 25 if they also have related health issues like diabetes or high blood pressure.
Now, understanding these kinds of breakthroughs is absolutely crucial for patients and doctors alike. And for their incredible educational support in this area, we really have to give a special thanks to the London Heartbeat Z Academy in the UK. Seriously, if you want to stay on top of this stuff, you have to check them out. They offer over 150 popular courses. You can find them across all social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, for free, regular updates, and to catch more amazing discussions like this one. And hey, here's a pro tip. If you subscribe to their higher level YouTube membership, you can get early access to educational videos and even have personal chats and guidance sessions. Definitely worth exploring.
With results this powerful, it's so tempting to look at these medications and think, aha, a magic bullet, problem solved. But the reality, well, it's a lot more nuanced than that. The medication isn't the finish line, it's the starting gun for a whole new journey. Real, lasting success is going to require a much bigger, more comprehensive approach. And this slide really gets to the heart of it. The promise of the pill is huge, significant weight loss, and these drugs deliver on that promise. But the reality of the pathway to long-term health is that these medications work best when they're just one part of a bigger plan. A plan that has to include lifestyle changes you can stick with, professional counseling, and a true long-term commitment. The pill is an incredible tool, but it is not the entire toolkit. So, let's see how this works for a real person. Meet Ravi. He's been struggling with his weight for years, he's tried everything, and he is so excited to hear about these new medications. But before his doctor even thinks about writing a prescription, they sit down and have a really important in-depth conversation. Ravi needs to understand everything, not just the amazing benefits, but the challenges, the potential side effects, and the level of commitment this is going to take. Honestly, this conversation is probably the single most important step in his entire treatment. And a good doctor, like Ravi's, might use a framework like this one. It's called the Black Framework, to make sure nothing gets missed. They talk through the benefits, which go way beyond just weight loss, like better heart health. They discuss the limitations, that this isn't a free pass to ignore diet and exercise. They're honest about the potential adverse effects, like nausea, and how to manage them.
They talk about the cost, which can be a real factor. And finally, they empower Ravi with the knowledge he needs to take control, like how to properly do a self-injection. This kind of counseling is what sets a patient up for success, not just for weight loss.
Okay, now let's zoom out. We've talked about the medicine and the individual, but the latest science recognizes obesity as more than just a medical issue. It's now being seen as a social syndrome. And what that means is that the world around us, our families, our friends, our communities, plays a massive, massive role in our health journey.
So, what does that look like in practice? Well, we know that when family members come to doctor's appointments, patients are way more likely to stick with their treatment plan. When you build community networks, you create this incredible web of accountability and shared motivation. Simple things like a peer-led neighborhood walking group can be unbelievably powerful. And you can even weave this into the culture, bringing back amazing traditional activities like yoga, or even team sports like kabaddi, to make fitness social and fun again. And this is where we meet our final case study, Anjali. When she started her journey, she felt completely alone in it. But then something shifted. Her husband started going with her to her appointments. He started learning about nutrition, and soon he was cooking healthier meals for the whole family. Then Anjali joined a local walking group started by other women in her community. The daily walks, the shared stories, the encouragement, it didn't just help her lose weight. It completely transformed her outlook on life. Anjali's story proves it. Success is a team sport. So, as we start to put all these pieces together, what does the future of obesity care actually look like? Well, it's pretty clear it's not just about writing a prescription. It's about a fundamental shift in our thinking. It's about moving towards a truly holistic, person-centered approach that combines the absolute best of medical science with deep psychological and social support. All right, we've covered a lot of ground, so if you take away just 3 key things from our explainer today, let them be these. First, obesity in India is a massive and incredibly complex crisis with unique challenges like the thin fat phenotype. Second, these new medications are offering real, unprecedented hope with the power to deliver 15 to 20% weight loss. And third, and this is the most important one, these amazing tools only work their magic as part of a complete, holistic pathway that includes great counseling and a strong support system. We are standing at a really remarkable crossroads. We have new scientific tools that are more powerful than anything we've had before, and we have a much deeper understanding of the social fabric that shapes our health. For the first time, we have a real opportunity to completely rewrite the future of obesity care. So the question isn't just about whether we can treat it anymore. It's about how we can do it effectively, compassionately, and in a way that lasts. Could this combination of science and community finally be the turning point we've all been waiting for?
Now, what does pandemic proportions truly mean here? It immediately brings to mind infectious diseases, right? But this is a different kind of global spread, isn't it?
Indeed, it's a powerful analogy, but yeah, different mechanism. When we talk about pandemic proportions in the context of obesity, it signifies a widespread escalating health crisis. It's no longer confined to specific regions or, just affluent nations. We're seeing prevalence rapidly increasing across the globe, even in developing countries like India, which, historically, grappled more with undernutrition.
Complete flip.
Exactly. And this phenomenon forces us to ask, why this rapid global surge now? It's a complex interplay. You've got a globalized food system favoring highly processed, calorie-dense foods.
As we were.
The pervasive shift to more sedentary lifestyles driven by urbanization and tech advancements, and environmental factors that subtly push populations towards higher weight gain. It's really a crisis of modern living, not just individual willpower.
The document then gives us a precise definition. It states it's the presence of excessive fat in the body that leads to an increased risk of adverse health outcomes. But it goes further, mentioning this excessive fat can be globally in specific regions of the body or in organs as ectopic lipids. That term ectopic lipids really stands out. What exactly are these, and why is that distinction so crucial for understanding the true health risks?
This is a critical nuance, and it's often overlooked. So ectopic lipids refer to fat stored in places it absolutely shouldn't be. Think the liver, the pancreas, or even within muscle cells themselves.
Not just under the skin.
Exactly. It's distinct from subcutaneous fat, the fat you can pinch just under the skin. What makes ectopic fat so dangerous is its metabolic activity. It can directly interfere with the normal function of these vital organs.
Oh, okay.
For example, fat in the liver can lead to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Fat in the pancreas can impair insulin production. These internal fat deposits significantly contribute to insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease, even in individuals who might appear outwardly thin or have a normal body mass index, a normal BMI,
So you can look okay on the outside.
but be metabolically unhealthy on the inside. This highlights that obesity isn't just about what you see, it's about what's happening internally at a cellular level. And those internal fat deposits pose very significant silent risks.
Wow. The numbers are truly eye-opening, putting this crisis into stark global context. Globally, approximately 650 million adults and about 340 million children and adolescents between 5 and 19 years live with obesity.
Huge numbers.
And these numbers, frankly, are not slowing down. It's an escalating challenge that speaks to the urgency of these new guidelines.
Absolutely. And to truly grasp the scale, consider data from countries like the United States. The National Health Nutrition Examination Survey, or NHAS, shows about 42.4% of adults have a BMI of 30 or more, which defines obesity.
Over 40%.
Yes. And 20.9% of children have a BMI greater than or equal to the 95th percentile for their age and gender. These are staggering figures for a developed nation, illustrating the sheer global magnitude of this health challenge.
It's not just one country's problem.
Not at all. The steady, relentless increase points to deeply entrenched systemic issues from food policy to urban planning that require comprehensive societal responses, not just, individual health advice.
So given this global picture, what does this all mean specifically for India? The World Obesity Federation provides this national obesity risk score for each country. It's a composite based on prevalence, rate of increase, and treatment indicators. India has been given a score of 7 out of 10. That sounds incredibly concerning, almost like a warning signal.
It is indeed a red flag, and it's a crucial piece of information for you, the listener, to understand. A score of 7 out of 10 tells us that India isn't just experiencing a rise in obesity, it's on a rapidly accelerating trajectory that demands urgent, comprehensive attention.
So high risk.
Very high risk. It reflects a high prevalence that's rapidly increasing, despite ongoing efforts in treatment and awareness.
Yeah.
This isn't just a prediction, it's a current reality. It indicates a population highly vulnerable to the health consequences of obesity, and it serves as a powerful call to action for a multifaceted national response.
Okay, here's a quick thought provoker for you listening.
Which of the following best describes ectopic lipids in the context of obesity? A. Fat stored just under the skin. B. Fat stored in specific organs like the liver or pancreas. C. Fat stored globally throughout the body. D. Fat that is easily lost through diet and exercise.
We'll give you the answer later on. Let's zoom in further on India now. The recently published ICMR India B study, a nationwide survey conducted across 31 states and union territories, gives us an unprecedented, really comprehensive view of the landscape.
Yeah, this study is incredibly crucial because it provides a truly large-scale representative picture of obesity prevalence across India. And importantly, it defined generalized and abdominal obesity using the WHO Asia-Pacific guidelines.
Okay. Why is that detail important?
Well, this detail is vital because these guidelines are specifically tailored for Asian populations. They take into account their distinct body compositions and different metabolic risk profiles compared to, say, Western populations.
So a better fit for India.
Exactly. It means the diagnostic criteria are more appropriate and sensitive for the Indian demographic, making the study's findings highly relevant and actionable for local healthcare strategies.
And the numbers from this study are truly staggering. An estimated 254 million people with generalized obesity, representing 28.6% of the population, and 351 million individuals with abdominal obesity, making up 39.5%. That's a huge proportion of the population facing these health challenges.
What stands out about this is just the sheer scale. Almost 40% of individuals have abdominal obesity, which, as we know, is often metabolically more harmful than generalized obesity, even at lower BMIs.
Belly fat, right?
Precisely. Abdominal fat, particularly the visceral fat that surrounds the internal organs, is strongly linked to insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. This points to a massive public health challenge that goes beyond just overall body weight. It emphasizes the critical importance of understanding the quality and distribution of fat within the body.
So where the fat is matters.
Immensely. It's a silent internal threat affecting a vast number of people.
And it's not uniform across the country, which adds another layer of complexity. Pituitary, for instance, reported the highest rates, 53.3% abdominal obesity and 61.2% generalized obesity.
Wow, really high.
On the other end, Jharkhand had the lowest, at 11.6% abdominal and 18.4% generalized. Plus, urban populations consistently showed a prevalence of more than 25%. What could explain these significant geographical variations?
Yeah, that immediately leads us to wonder about the underlying drivers, doesn't it? The higher prevalence in urban areas often correlates directly with more sedentary lifestyles.
Less walking, more sitting.
Exactly. Plus, the greater availability and consumption of processed, calorie-dense foods and changing dietary patterns, often influenced by, well, rapid westernization.
Makes sense.
The stark disparity between states like Puducherry and Jharkhand could reflect differences in socioeconomic development, deeply ingrained cultural practices around food and physical activity, and varying levels of access to healthy living resources, things like safe spaces for exercise or affordable, nutritious food.
So it's complex.
Very. It highlights that obesity isn't just a national issue. It's one with significant regional variations requiring highly localized, culturally sensitive strategies.
What's particularly concerning is that this isn't just an adult problem. It's affecting every age group. Let's look at childhood obesity trends, which the guidelines highlight.
Yeah, this is a really worrying trend.
Childhood obesity has shown a rising trend over the last few decades. Initial studies from various Indian cities showed prevalence around maybe 10–12% for obesity and 12–22% for overweight. But more recent literature shows a significantly higher prevalence, now approaching up to 30% in some patient groups.
This acceleration in childhood obesity is particularly alarming because it essentially sets the stage for lifelong health issues. Children who are obese are far, far more likely to remain obese as adults.
It tracks into adulthood.
It does. And that leads to an earlier onset and greater severity of chronic conditions like type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. It's truly a future health crisis in the making, and it indicates that the environmental factors impacting diet and physical activity are profoundly affecting younger generations with increasing severity. Addressing this early is absolutely paramount.
And looking at young adults, a large study among nearly 650,000 women with a median age of 30 found 22.6% were overweight and 10.7% had obesity. The document highlights specific factors contributing to higher prevalence. Older women within that group, those who were married, had a history of pregnancy, were highly educated, wealthy, and living in urban regions. This seems somewhat counterintuitive, maybe, compared to what we might expect in Western countries, where lower socioeconomic status is often associated with higher obesity rates.
That's a really important observation, and it points to something interesting happening in India. This correlation with factors like higher education and wealth suggests what we call a nutritional transition.
Okay, what's that?
Here, increasing affluence can ironically lead to greater consumption of processed foods, a reduction in physical labor due to modernizing work environments, and lifestyle changes that inadvertently increase obesity risk. You have more disposable income, maybe eat out more, rely more on convenience foods.
Like changes in lifestyle that come with wealth.
Yeah, precisely. The National Family Health Surveys further corroborate this trend, showing a significant 35% to 40% prevalence of overweight and obesity among women, reinforcing that these demographic shifts are profoundly impacting women's health. It's a complex interplay of changing social roles, evolving dietary habits, and diminishing opportunities for physical activity.
And even older adults are not spared from this trend. A study on rural, middle-aged, postmenopausal women in North India found about 35.5% were overweight or obese.
Significant.
Another study focusing on rural South Indian women, predominantly farmers, found an astonishing 2/3 with a BMI in the obese range.
Even among farmers.
Yeah. And a comprehensive study found 27% prevalence in over 72,000 older adults across India. This truly challenges the idea that obesity is a problem for just one specific age group or location.
Absolutely. This challenges the stereotype that obesity is primarily a younger, urban issue. It genuinely is a lifespan concern affecting all demographics. The significant numbers among older adults are particularly concerning because they bring with them increased risks for age-related health issues. Think severe osteoarthritis, mobility limitations, more severe cardiovascular disease.
It makes aging much harder.
Exactly. This broad demographic shift further complicates public health strategies as interventions need to be carefully tailored for different age groups, their specific vulnerabilities, and their unique lifestyle context.
Time for another question for you to consider.
According to the ICMR India study, which group had a higher prevalence of obesity in India? A. Rural populations. B. Populations in states with lower economic development. C. Urban populations. D. Younger men.
Answer coming up later. This next point is where it gets really unique and profoundly important for the South Asian demographic. The guidelines emphasize a specific phenomenon: South Asian thin-fat obesity.
Yes, this is crucial.
This ethnicity has a predisposition to develop obesity-related complications at a lower body mass index than other populations. Can you explain what thin-fat obesity is and why it's such a critical distinction?
Yeah, this is a remarkable and very distinct characteristic. It was first highlighted in a famous paper called the Y-form paradox. It describes individuals who, on the surface, appear to be of normal weight or even thin,
Look fine.
but paradoxically carry a higher proportion of body fat, especially that dangerous visceral fat concentrated around their internal organs. This leads to metabolic issues typically associated with much higher BMIs. It's also known by terms like normal weight obesity, metabolic obesity, or, skinny fat.
I've heard that term.
Right. These individuals inherently tend to have less muscle mass and more fat, often concentrated internally, making them metabolically unhealthy despite their seemingly healthy appearance. It's understood to be influenced by a complex interplay of genetic predispositions and environmental factors unique to South Asian populations.
And the prevalence of this thin-fat obesity phenotype is significant, as the guidelines point out, about 15% in Chennai and 16% in Mumbai. Even more striking, a recent study from Kerala found it in about 30% of high diabetes risk individuals.
30%.
Yeah, and these individuals also had a significantly higher prevalence of diabetes, hypertension, and dyslipidemia. And this is key. They were resistant to change from typical lifestyle interventions. This last part about resistance to lifestyle changes is particularly challenging, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And it raises a fundamental question about how we approach screening and intervention. If someone looks thin but is metabolically unhealthy, it means BMI alone is clearly insufficient for assessing true health risks in this population.
BMI doesn't tell the whole story.
Not at all, especially here. The fact that they are often resistant to traditional lifestyle interventions underscores the genetic and environmental predispositions unique to South Asian populations. This isn't about lack of effort, it's about a different physiological response.
Right.
It emphasizes the urgent need for more nuanced diagnostic tools beyond just a simple BMI measurement, things like waist circumference or body composition analysis, and a tailored approach to treatment that considers these unique biological factors.
Okay, let's ponder another question.
Thin-fat obesity primarily refers to individuals who A, have an extremely high BMI, B, appear to be of normal weight but have a high percentage of body fat, especially visceral fat, C, are underweight but have significant muscle mass, D, only develop obesity in later stages of life.
Keep that in mind. Now, the ESI guidelines are clearly not operating in isolation. They're in strong concordance with, and in many ways, they actually antedate and amplify the philosophy of the Lancet Commission on Obesity. What does this alignment with such a prestigious global body tell us about the scientific and medical community's evolving understanding of obesity?
Yeah, that alignment is really significant. It signifies a crucial global consensus on the profound complexity of obesity. It reinforces that the ESI's emphasis on the multifactorial causes and the varied clinical presentations is not just a local observation, but a globally recognized truth.
So everyone's starting to agree on this.
Pretty much. It underscores that obesity is far from a simple energy balance equation, calories in, calories out.
It's more complicated.
Much more. It's a recognition that genetics, environment, social determinants, psychological factors, and individual biology all play intricate roles. We're moving away from oversimplified views of diet and exercise as the sole culprits or solutions. It's a truly holistic understanding.
The ESI recommendations also highlight the critical need for complete paraphenotypic characterization. That includes multiple anthropometric measurements and addressing specific syndromes like normal weight obesity and sarcopenic obesity. For us, the patients, what does this paraphenotypic characterization mean in practice? How is it different from just a standard checkup?
Okay, so in practice, this means moving far beyond just stepping on a scale or calculating a basic BMI. It's about gaining a much deeper understanding of your body composition.
What your body is made of.
Exactly. How much fat you carry, how much muscle you have, and crucially, where that fat is located. Advanced tools like waist circumference measurements, body fat percentage assessments through bioimpedance analysis, or even more advanced imaging scans can provide this detailed picture.
More detailed than just weight.
Definitely. Think of sarcopenic obesity, for example. This is a particularly unhealthy combination where you have both high body fat and dangerously low muscle mass. This is especially prevalent in older adults, significantly increasing frailty, metabolic risk, and impacting mobility. So it's a much more nuanced, personalized assessment that directly helps tailor a far more effective and targeted treatment plan for you.
And to make it practical, the guidelines group the disparate diagnostic criteria for clinical obesity into a remarkably reader-friendly 4M format: medical, musculoskeletal, mood-related, and monetary. This seems like a very comprehensive yet accessible way to approach diagnosis, moving beyond just the physical symptoms.
That's right. And the choice of these 4Ms is quite insightful because they effectively capture the broad systemic impact of obesity, extending beyond purely physiological markers.
Right, covers a lot of ground.
It does. Medical covers all the traditional health issues we associate with obesity, diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, fatty liver disease, and so on.
The usual suspects.
Yep. Musculoskeletal includes debilitating conditions like joint pain, osteoarthritis, and limited mobility, which profoundly affect quality of life and independence.
And things that make it hard to move.
Exactly. Mood-related addresses the significant mental health impacts depression, anxiety, body image issues, and the profound effects of social stigmatization,
The psychological toll.
which is huge. And monetary acknowledges the often overlooked economic burden on individuals through direct healthcare costs, indirect costs from lost productivity, and the immense strain on the healthcare system as a whole. It offers a truly holistic framework for evaluating the disease's extensive burden.
The ESI statement also places equal emphasis on psychosocial and biomedical determinants and effects, recognizing that complex interplay. And they consciously use the word overweight sometimes, as less stigmatizing and more person-friendly than obesity. This focus on language seems like a significant step toward patient-centered care.
It's an incredibly important shift, and you've hit on a key aspect of these guidelines. A truly person-centered approach, recognizing obesity as a social syndrome, as we'll discuss later, and deliberately using less stigmatizing language reflects a deeper, more empathetic understanding of the patient's experience.
Treats the person, not just the condition.
Exactly. It acknowledges that this isn't just a medical condition. It's about a human being navigating a complex disease that carries immense social stigma and psychological weight. The guidelines emphasize that the threshold for diagnosis or intervention is not based on BMI alone, advocating instead for a comprehensive evaluation that considers the individual's full clinical picture, their lived experience, and the multifaceted impact of the disease on their life. This is about treating the person, not just the number.
And these guidelines, with their planned regular updates and addenda, are truly set to be the bellwether for Indian obesity care. This suggests not a static document, but a continuous adaptive approach, which makes sense given how fast the science is moving.
Absolutely. Calling them the bellwether underscores a profound commitment. It's about remaining current with global advances in obesity research and treatment, while crucially tailoring recommendations specifically to the unique Indian context.
Best of both worlds.
Right. This ensures that care is not only cutting edge, but also relevant, effective, and culturally sensitive for the population. It implies a dynamic framework that will continually evolve as our understanding of obesity deepens and as new, even more effective treatments emerge. It provides a consistent and evolving standard for practitioners across the nation. 2-second pause. Section B. Next generation medicines for obesity management.
Okay, now let's transition to what is arguably the most exciting and rapidly evolving area: the next generation of medicines for obesity management. For many people, the idea of medication for obesity might still be relatively new, but the science here is, well, it's advancing incredibly fast. These guidelines detail some really powerful new tools.
This truly is an area of significant breakthroughs. You could even call it a paradigm shift. These aren't just, weight loss pills in the traditional sense. They are often complex pharmacological agents with multiple metabolic benefits.
Doing more than just weight loss.
Exactly. They fundamentally change how the body processes food, regulates appetite, and manages energy. We're moving beyond simple calorie restriction. They represent a new era in our ability to treat obesity as a chronic disease, much like we manage hypertension or diabetes.
First up, let's talk about liraglutide. The guidelines describe it as a glucagon-like peptide-1 or GLP-1 receptor agonist. It shares 97% sequence homology to human GLP-1. For us, the listeners, what does sharing 97% sequence homology truly mean for how it works in our bodies, and why is that important?
Yeah, that phrase is a bit technical, but its meaning is quite profound. It simply means that liraglutide is almost identical to our body's own natural hormone, GLP-1.
So it mimics our own body.
Precisely. Our natural GLP-1 plays a crucial role in regulating appetite, enhancing insulin secretion in a glucose-dependent manner, which means it only works when blood sugar is high, reducing the risk of low blood sugar.
That is important.
Very. And it slows gastric emptying, which helps you feel fuller for longer. Liraglutide mimics these actions perfectly. Its relatively long 11 to 13-hour half-life, mainly due to strong binding to serum albumin in the blood, allows for convenient daily dosing.
Just once a day.
Right. This means it influences satiety and glucose metabolism throughout the day, helping you feel less hungry, reducing cravings, and improving blood sugar control, all contributing significantly to weight loss.
And the clinical data from the LEADER and SCALE trials really showcases liraglutide's effectiveness. The LEADER trials, phase 3 studies in type 2 diabetes patients, showed that daily subcutaneous doses of 1.2 milligrams and 1.8 milligram resulted in a 1.1–1.8% reduction in HbA1c. That's a measure of blood sugar control, and about a 2–3 kilogram weight loss.
Decent, yeah.
But for people without diabetes, the SCALE trials showed even more significant weight loss with a higher 3 milligram daily injectable dose, a mean of 6.2 to 8 kilograms, or about 7.4% of body weight.
This data vividly highlights liraglutide's dose-dependent effect. It indicates that higher doses unlock significantly greater weight loss potential.
More drug, more effect.
Generally, yes. And even in patients with diabetes, where weight management can be particularly tricky, the higher 3 milligram dose when used with 3 oral anti-diabetic medications led to a 6% weight reduction compared to just 2% with placebo. For those on insulin, it resulted in 5.8% weight loss versus 1.2% with placebo. This clearly demonstrates liraglutide's robust anti-obesity effect across different patient populations, extending its benefits well beyond just blood sugar control.
Okay, here's a quick knowledge check for you.
Liraglutide's prolonged half-life, 11–13 hours, is primarily due to A, its rapid metabolism in the liver, B, its avid binding to serum albumin, C, its unique oral formulation, D, its interaction with multiple hormone receptors.
We'll circle back to the answer. The guidelines provide a really comprehensive, detailed overview of currently approved medications in a table format, which is incredibly helpful for understanding the current treatment landscape. Let's break down the key characteristics of each, focusing on what makes them distinct and effective.
Absolutely. Let's start with orlistat. This is an oral medication, taken 120 milligrams 3 times daily before food. Its mechanism is quite different from the GLP-1s we just talked about.
How does it work?
It's a lipase inhibitor. That means it literally blocks the absorption of about 30% of dietary fat in your gut. This leads to typical weight loss in the range of 4.6–10.2% over 1–2 years, compared to 1.6–6.6% with placebo.
So it stops fat from getting in.
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
But that mechanism also dictates its common adverse effects, which are primarily gastrointestinal things like steatorrhea, which is fatty stools, fecal incontinence, and oily spotting, all directly related to the unabsorbed fat passing through.
Can be unpleasant.
It can be, yeah. Important warnings include rare cases of liver issues and decreased absorption of certain fat-soluble vitamins and other drugs. It's contraindicated in pregnancy, malabsorption syndromes, and cholestasis, which is a liver condition. Next, we have liraglutide, 3 milligram, which we just discussed. This is a GLP-1 receptor agonist administered subcutaneously. That's an injection under the skin once daily. The dosing starts low at 0.6 milligrams and is slowly increased weekly by 0.6 milligrams up to the target 3 milligrams. This slow titration is really key to minimize initial side effects.
Start low, go slow.
Exactly. Clinical trials show it typically yields 6.08% weight loss over 56 weeks, significantly better than placebo. Its common adverse effects are, again, primarily GI-related: nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, usually mild and transient. Important warnings include pancreatitis, gallstones, increased heart rate, and, very rarely, suicidal ideation. It's strictly contraindicated in individuals with a personal or family history of medullary thyroid carcinoma or multiple endocrine neoplasia type 2, MNN2, and also during pregnancy or breastfeeding. Then there's the combination drug, phentermine topiramate. Phentermine acts as a stimulant, a norepinephrine-releasing drug that suppresses appetite. Topiramate, on the other hand, modulates GABA receptors, which can also suppress appetite and induce satiety.
Two different mechanisms.
Right, working together. This combination is typically started at a low dose, say 3.7523 milligrams, and gradually escalated over weeks to a maximum of 1,592 milligrams. It can achieve pretty impressive weight loss, 7.8 and 9.3% at lower doses, and 10.5, 12.1% at higher doses over about 2 years, significantly more than placebo.
Well, what about side effects?
Adverse effects can include headache, paresthesia, that's tingling sensations, dizziness, insomnia, and cognitive impairment, sometimes referred to as brain fog. Important warnings include metabolic acidosis, elevated heart rate, kidney stones, and potential mood disorders. It's contraindicated in conditions like glaucoma, hyperthyroidism, concurrent use with MAOI, antidepressants, and pregnancy breastfeeding due to concerns about birth defects. Okay, moving to one of the most talked about medications. Semaglutide, 2.4 milligram injectable. This is another powerful GLP-1 receptor agonist, but its key differentiator is once-weekly subcutaneous administration.
Once a week. That's convenient.
Very convenient. Dosing also starts low at 0.25 milligrams weekly and gradually increases every 4 weeks to the target 2.4 milligrams. The clinical data shows an impressive 16.9% mean weight loss over 1 year compared to a much smaller effect with placebo.
Big difference.
Huge. Its side effects are similar to liraglutide. Primarily GI issues like nausea, vomiting, abdominal distension, diarrhea, constipation. The warnings and contraindications are also largely the same as liraglutide, given they belong to the same drug class, especially regarding medullary thyroid carcinoma and MNN2. Next, we have naltrexone bupropion. This combination involves naltrexone, a mu-opioid receptor antagonist, and bupropion, a dopamine and norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor.
Working on brain chemistry.
Exactly. They work synergistically in the brain to reduce cravings and suppress appetite through different neural pathways. The dose is titrated up over several weeks to a maximum of 2 tablets twice daily, so 32 milligram naltrexone, 360 milligram bupropion total daily dose. It typically achieves 5.0–6.4% weight loss over 56 weeks. Common adverse effects include nausea, vomiting, constipation, dry mouth, and dizziness.
Any major warnings?
Important warnings include potential for suicidal behavior and ideation, neuropsychiatric symptoms, seizure risk, especially at higher doses or in predisposed individuals, and increased blood pressure heart rate. It's contraindicated in uncontrolled hypertension, seizure disorder, active eating disorders like bulimia or anorexia due to seizure risk, chronic opioid use, concurrent MAOI use, and pregnancy breastfeeding. Finally, we come to tirzepatide. This is a true game changer because it's a dual agonist for 2 incretin hormones, glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide, GIP, and GLP-1 receptors.
2 targets instead of 1.
Right. It's also administered once weekly via subcutaneous injection with a slow titration schedule starting at 2.5 milligrams and increasing by 2.5 milligrams monthly to a maximum of 15 milligrams. The clinical trials have demonstrated truly remarkable weight loss, 15.0% with 5 milligrams, 19.5% with 10 milligrams, and an astounding 20.9% with 15 milligram doses.
Wow, over 20%.
Yeah, really significant. Its adverse effects are primarily GI, similar to other injectables in this class, and warnings contraindications are also consistent with the GLP-1RA class, especially concerning thyroid carcinoma history and pregnancy. This dual action gives it a unique power.
That's an incredible amount of detailed information about the approved medications, really laying out the landscape for us. Here's another question for you to consider.
Which anti-obesity medication primarily works by blocking the absorption of dietary fat? A. Semaglutide. B. Tirzepatide. C. Orlistat. D. Ventermine topiramate.
We'll get to the answer soon. Semaglutide, particularly that 2.4 milligram injectable form, has generated a lot of buzz in the medical community, and for good reason. The step that semaglutide treatment effect in people with obesity trials have truly showcased its impressive efficacy. What makes this particular medication so effective, and what were the most striking findings from these trials?
Yeah, semaglutide is currently one of the most potent GLP-1 receptor agonists available. And the STEP trials, which were a robust phase 3 program involving thousands of participants, consistently showed significant and clinically meaningful weight loss.
How significant?
Well, to give you a sense of its impact, participants achieved an average of up to 17.4% weight loss over the trial period. Even more remarkably, about 1/3 of patients lost over 20% of their baseline body weight.
20%, that's huge.
It is. This level of efficacy was previously primarily seen only with bariatric surgery, so it's a major, major advancement in medical weight management. It really opens up new possibilities for patients who struggled with other methods.
The trials also demonstrated impressive persistence. with a mean weight loss of 15.2% over 104 weeks, which is about 2
A
years.
sustained effect. Yeah.
But a truly critical finding from the Step 1 extension trial was that discontinuing therapy for just 1 year led to regaining 2/3 of the lost body weight. What does this tell us about the fundamental nature of obesity as a chronic condition?
This is a profound insight and a critical takeaway for anyone considering these medications. It powerfully underscores that obesity is a chronic disease requiring chronic ongoing management.
Not a quick fix.
Absolutely not. These medications aren't a temporary fix or a diet pill. They work by addressing the complex physiological mechanisms that contribute to weight regain, things like appetite regulation, metabolic rate adjustment, satiety signals. When you stop the medication, those powerful physiological drivers return. The body's natural, strong tendency to regain weight reasserts itself.
Like stopping blood pressure meds.
It's a very similar concept. It emphasizes the vital need for long-term adherence to maintain the significant health benefits achieved.
And beyond just weight loss, which is significant enough, the STEP trials also showed profound improvements in cardiometabolic risk factors. We're talking reductions in blood pressure, improvements in lipid profiles, decreases in HSE-reactive protein, which is an inflammatory marker.
All good things.
And incredibly, over 80% of subjects reversed from prediabetes to normal glycemia, normal blood sugar.
Yeah.
That's a huge impact.
The holistic benefits here are truly fascinating and extend far beyond just aesthetics. This isn't simply about shedding pounds. It's about profoundly improving overall health and dramatically reducing the risk of major diseases like heart attacks and strokes.
Real health outcomes.
Absolutely. The SELECT cardiovascular outcomes trial, specifically with semaglutide 2.4 milligram, provided compelling evidence. It showed a significant 20% reduction in major adverse cardiovascular events in overweight or obese patients who already had existing cardiovascular disease.
Wow.
Furthermore, it demonstrated improved functional outcomes in patients with a specific type of heart failure called HFpEF. This makes it much more than just a weight loss drug. It's a powerful tool for comprehensive cardiometabolic protection.
And further broadening its impact, injectable semaglutide has even been approved for adolescents aged 12 and above, based on the STEP-TEEN trial. And importantly, the safety profile in this younger population is in line with other GLP-1 RAs.
Yeah, this expansion to adolescence is a monumental development, particularly given the rising rates of childhood obesity and its profound long-term health implications. Offering a safe and effective treatment option for younger individuals provides immense hope for preventing a lifetime of obesity-related complications.
Getting ahead of the problem.
Exactly. And the safety profile, predominantly consisting of mild to moderate and transient gastrointestinal side effects that can be effectively managed with proper counseling and slow titration, makes it a viable and critical option for a broader patient population.
Okay, here's your next question to consider.
According to the Step 1 extension trial, discontinuing semaglutide therapy for 1 year resulted in A. Continued weight loss for most patients. B. No significant change in weight. C. Regain of 2/3 of the lost body weight. D. A permanent cure for obesity.
Think about that one. While the injectable form of semaglutide has been widely discussed, oral semaglutide is also making significant waves, offering a different modality for patients. The 14 milligram oral dose is actually comparable to the 1 milligram injectable in terms of weight reduction.
That's right. And what's truly exciting here are the further developments in oral semaglutide. The Pioneer Plus trial, for instance, explored even higher strengths, specifically 25 milligrams and 50 milligrams in people with obesity and type 2 diabetes.
Higher doses.
Yes. And the 50 milligram oral dose showed significantly higher weight loss compared to the 14 milligram dose. An average reduction of 9 to 9.2 kilograms versus minus 4.5 kilograms. And then the Oasis 1 trial, using 50 milligram oral semaglutide against placebo in people without type 2 diabetes, showed a remarkable placebo-subtracted weight loss of minus 15.6% at 68 weeks.
Very impressive for a pill.
Absolutely. This oral option offers a completely different modality for patients, providing a level of convenience that could significantly improve adherence, especially for those who prefer not to inject or have needle aversion. It removes a major barrier to treatment.
Let's bring in another real-world scenario here. Meet Raj, a 45-year-old accountant in Mumbai. His demanding, sedentary job and a lifelong love for rich, traditional Indian foods, coupled with less time for physical activity, led him to a BMI of 32.
Common scenario.
He was grappling with prediabetes and persistent knee pain, feeling increasingly overwhelmed by the thought of managing his weight with diet and exercise alone. After a thorough consultation with his doctor, who discussed all the available options, Raj decided to start injectable semaglutide.
Okay.
Over the next year, he meticulously followed the titration schedule, learned to manage the occasional mild nausea with dietary adjustments, and consistently administered his weekly injection. The results were transformational.
What happened?
She lost 15% of his body weight, his blood sugar normalized, and his knee pain significantly improved, allowing him to be more active. He understood that this wasn't a magic bullet, but a powerful tool, part of a long-term commitment to his health.
Raja's story is a perfect illustration of the practical application of these next-generation medicines, combined with proper medication counseling and a deep understanding of obesity as a chronic condition. It vividly highlights that these drugs can be a powerful catalyst for change, but not in isolation.
Needs the whole package.
Right. It has to be part of a comprehensive management strategy. When patients are well-informed, supported, and committed to long-term treatment, these medications can significantly improve health outcomes and dramatically enhance their quality of life. His success underscores the critical importance of a holistic approach that includes patient education and commitment. 2-second pause.
Now let's talk about something that could potentially revolutionize obesity management even further. CagriSema. This is a combination of semaglutide and cagrilintide. This sounds like an even more powerful duo, building on the success of existing treatments. What's the science behind combining these two powerful agents?
Yeah, the mechanism behind CagriSema is truly fascinating because of its synergistic action. So cagrilintide is a novel, long-acting amylin analog peptide. It has an impressive half-life of 180 hours, which allows for once-weekly administration, just like semaglutide.
So two once-a-week components.
Exactly. Both compounds target different but equally crucial neurons in the hypothalamus and hindbrain that are responsible for controlling appetite and food intake. They work together through distinct but complementary pathways to reduce appetite, decrease cravings, improve eating control, and ultimately significantly reduce calorie intake.
Hitting it from two angles.
Precisely. This dual action provides a far more comprehensive approach to regulating hunger and satiety signals than either medication alone.
And the clinical data for CagriSema is incredibly promising.
Yeah.
A phase 2 study with cagrilintide alone showed up to 10.8% weight loss after 26 weeks, with fewer GI side effects compared to liraglutide. But as you said, the combination really shines. A phase 1 study showed the combination therapy achieved up to 17.1% weight loss over just 20 weeks.
Just 20 weeks.
Yeah. The guidelines highlight this by saying it exceeds what has been previously observed with any other weight loss treatment. That's a bold claim.
It is a bold claim, but the results truly seem to warrant it. This raises an important question. What makes this combination so profoundly potent? It's likely the multi-pronged approach to appetite regulation, hitting both GLP-1 and amylin pathways simultaneously. This leads to a much greater suppression of hunger and superior control over eating behaviors.
Makes sense.
And the recently announced top-line results from the REDEFINE-1 Phase 3 trial are nothing short of incredible. Participants achieved an average of 22.7% weight loss with CagriSema after 68 weeks.
22.7%.
Yes. This significantly outperformed cagrilintide alone, which got 11.8%, semaglutide alone at 16.1%, and placebo at 2.3%. This level of efficacy truly positions CagriSema as a potential frontrunner in obesity treatment, offering an unprecedented level of weight reduction that starts approaching surgical outcomes.
Really groundbreaking stuff.
It is, and the REDEFINE program is extensive, covering various patient populations, including those with type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular outcomes, even head-to-head comparisons. They're really digging deep to understand its full potential.
Okay, let's test your knowledge with another question.
Cagrilintide, a component of CagriSema, is described as A, lipase inhibitor, B, norepinephrine-releasing drug, C, long-acting amylin analog peptide, D, dual GIP and GLP-1 receptor agonist.
Keep track of your answers. Then there's tirzepatide, another dual agonist, but this one targets glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide, GIP, and GLP-1 receptors. How is this dual agonist approach different from just targeting GLP-1 like semaglutide does, and what unique advantages does it offer?
Yeah, this is where tirzepatide really differentiates itself. It's often described as having an imbalanced and biased action. It has GIP activity similar to the native hormone, but its GLP-1 activity is about 5 times lower.
Interesting balance.
It is. This unique combination, along with its longer 5-day half-life due to a structural modification, provides a distinct set of metabolic benefits. By activating 2 distinct incretin hormone pathways, it more powerfully enhances insulin secretion, significantly reduces glucagon levels, delays gastric emptying, and suppresses appetite more comprehensively.
So broader effects again.
Exactly. This leads to truly remarkable weight loss and superior glycemic control compared to targeting GLP-1 alone, offering a broader and more effective metabolic benefit overall.
The SURPASS trials initially showed tirzepatide's power in type 2 diabetes patients. But the SURMOUNT trial specifically focused on obesity, and the results from SURMOUNT-1, a phase 3 trial, were truly remarkable. Negative 15.0% with 5 milligrams weekly, negative 19.5% with 10 milligrams, and an astounding negative 20.9% with 15 milligrams after 72 weeks. These numbers are really pushing the boundaries of what's possible medically.
These results are indeed incredibly impressive. They consistently near the efficacy observed with bariatric surgery, which is a significant benchmark.
Surgery-like results from a medication.
Getting close. SURMOUNT-3 mirrored these profound benefits in people with type 2 diabetes, showing negative 12.8% weight loss with 10 milligrams and negative 14.7% with 15 milligrams. SURMOUNT-3 added another layer of insight after an initial 12-week intensive lifestyle intervention.
Diet and exercise first.
Right. Participants who then received tirzepatide experienced an additional 18.4% weight loss, compared to a gain of 2.5% in the placebo group. And crucially, 87.5% achieved an additional 5% weight reduction on top of what they lost initially.
So it adds significant benefit even after lifestyle changes.
Absolutely. It powerfully demonstrated that even after initial lifestyle efforts, tirzepatide could significantly enhance and sustain weight loss, proving its value as a continuation therapy.
And for long-term maintenance, SURMOUNT-4 showed that after a lead-in period where participants lost about 20.9% of their weight.
Already significant loss.
Right. Continuing tirzepatide led to a further negative 5.5% weight change. In stark contrast, the placebo group regained 14% of their weight. This again reinforces the chronic nature of obesity management.
It further emphasizes the critical point that obesity is a chronic disease requiring sustained intervention. The medication isn't just for initial weight loss, it's crucial for long-term maintenance. It actively prevents the body's powerful compensatory mechanisms that relentlessly drive weight regain when treatment is stopped.
Fights that weight rebound.
Exactly. This trial powerfully illustrates that obesity management is a marathon, not a sprint, and sustained pharmacological support can make all the difference in achieving lasting health benefits.
And some good news for our listeners in India. Tirzepatide is available and approved for weight loss in the Indian market. It's an injectable, started at a lower dose and increased monthly. What happens if you miss a dose? That's a common concern for many patients.
Yeah, that's a very practical question, and patient adherence is key. If you miss a dose of tirzepatide by less than 96 hours, that's 4 days.
Oh.
You should take it as soon as possible. However, if it's been more than 96 hours since your scheduled dose, you should simply skip that missed dose and take your next dose at its regularly scheduled time.
Got it. So there's some flexibility.
There is. This flexibility is important for patient adherence, making the weekly injection schedule more manageable in real life. It's administered subcutaneously in the thigh, abdomen, or upper arm once a week. Site rotation is important to prevent local skin reactions, and for added convenience, it doesn't need to be taken with food.
Here's your next question.
What is a key differentiating feature of tirzepatide compared to semaglutide? A. It is only available as an oral medication. B. It is a dual agonist for GIP and GLP-1 receptors. C. It has a shorter half-life, requiring daily injections. D. It is primarily a lipase inhibitor.
Remember that one. Looking ahead, the future of obesity management looks even more promising with several incredibly innovative drugs currently in the pipeline. It feels like we're just at the beginning of a revolution here.
Indeed, the landscape is rapidly expanding. It's offering personalized solutions that were, frankly, unimaginable just a few years ago. We briefly touched on high-dose oral semaglutide earlier.
The 50 milligram pill.
Right. But to emphasize its potential, the OASIS-1 trial showed a mean percentage weight change of negative 15.0% at 68 weeks. This oral option could significantly improve accessibility and patient preference, especially for those with needle aversion, removing a major barrier to treatment. Then there's retatrutide, which is particularly exciting because it's a triple hormone receptor agonist. It targets GIP, GLP-1, and glucagon receptors.
3 targets now.
Yes. Phase 2 trials showed truly incredible weight loss, as high as negative 17.9% at 24 weeks and negative 24.2% at 48 weeks.
Almost 25% weight loss.
Yeah. This multi-receptor approach is pushing the boundaries of efficacy by engaging even more of the body's natural pathways involved in energy balance and glucose metabolism. It suggests even greater weight loss potential. Survodutide is another compelling candidate. It's a glucagon receptor GLP-1 receptor dual agonist. Phase 2 trials have demonstrated mean body weight reductions of up to 1-14.9% at 46 weeks with higher doses. Some studies even showed it produced greater reductions than semaglutide up to 1.0 milligram weekly, indicating its strong potential in this rapidly advancing field. Orforglipron represents another significant development. This is a non-peptide GLP-1 receptor agonist and, importantly, an oral one taken once daily.
An oral non-peptide GLP-1.
Exactly. Phase 2 trials showed estimated mean weight changes from baseline of up to manic of 14.7% with the 45 milligram dose at 36 weeks. For patients with type 2 diabetes, it also showed substantial weight reduction compared to placebo and even another drug, liraglutide. An oral, non-peptide GLP-1 is a potential game changer for convenience and possibly broader access due to potentially easier manufacturing and lower cost. Lastly, epidemiology is another long-acting GLP-1 analog in development. Phase 2 trials showed at least square mean body weight reduction at 26 weeks of up to negative 14.7% with the 2.4 milligram dose, again showcasing strong potential for effective weight management.
So if we look at all these incredible advancements, what does this all mean for the future of obesity management? We're seeing more potent, more convenient, and more diverse pharmacological options emerging. It offers a lot of hope.
It's a truly revolutionary moment, and it raises an important question. How will these new drugs seamlessly integrate into existing treatment algorithms? And what new possibilities will they truly open up for patients who haven't responded adequately to current therapies? The landscape of obesity treatment is rapidly expanding, moving us closer to personalized, highly effective solutions that were, well, frankly, unimaginable just a few years ago.
The guidelines also provide clear and practical recommendations on when to consider pharmacotherapy. They state it should be considered in patients with a BMI greater than 27 kilograms in gross, or in individuals with a BMI greater than 25 kilograms in gross, but with at least one associated comorbid medical condition.
Right.
These comorbidities include common issues like hypertension, dyslipidemia, bad cholesterol levels, type 2 diabetes, and obstructive sleep apnea. This seems like a proactive approach.
It absolutely is a proactive and clinically sound approach. It aligns with the understanding that early intervention can prevent or manage complications more effectively. The recommendations are crucial because they also differentiate between treatment goals. For instance, tirzepatide should be strongly considered where a weight loss target of 15-20% is aimed for, recognizing its superior efficacy in trials. For targets of 10-15% weight loss, both tirzepatide and injectable semaglutide are excellent options. This personalized approach, based on the individual's specific needs, overall health status, and the ambitiousness of their weight loss goals, ensures a tailored and ultimately more effective treatment strategy for each patient. 2-second pause. Section C, counseling for anti-obesity medications.
Okay, with all these powerful new medications we've been talking about, the guidelines place significant emphasis on counseling. They make it absolutely integral to treatment. It's clearly not just about writing a prescription and sending the patient on their way, is it?
Not at all. A crucial insight here is the emphasis on continuous counseling, not just before you start the prescription, but during therapy, as an ongoing dialogue.
An ongoing relationship.
Exactly. This is far from a one-time conversation. While the nature and intensity of counseling might vary based on individual needs, the basic principles of patient education, support, and shared decision-making remain constant throughout the treatment journey. It acknowledges that medication is but one component of a broader, more complex journey, and ongoing support is absolutely crucial for adherence and long-term success.
The guidelines introduce the Black's TEAK framework. It's a simple yet effective structure for medication counseling. Let's unpack each letter, starting with B for benefits. How should healthcare providers discuss the benefits with patients?
Okay, B for benefits. This means dedicating ample time for the person living with obesity and, importantly, their caregivers or family members to genuinely contemplate the use of medication.
Taking the time.
Right. The duration and depth of this conversation will, of course, depend on the individual's level of distress, their understanding, and their established relationship with the healthcare team. The potential benefits and the medication's mechanism of action must be shared in a clear, person-friendly manner.
Simple language.
Yes. For example, explaining the profound importance of weight loss, not just for aesthetics, but for tangible improvements in glucose control, reducing cardiovascular risk, protecting kidney health. Using locally relevant examples or metaphors can make these complex medical benefits relatable and truly understood by the patient, fostering genuine buy-in.
Next, we have L for limitations. Medications are incredibly powerful, we know that now, but they're not a silver bullet, are they? It seems important to manage expectations.
Exactly. L for limitations means clearly articulating that medication use doesn't negate the fundamental need for concurrent dietary modifications and regular physical activity.
Still need lifestyle changes.
Absolutely. These drugs are a powerful part of a comprehensive management strategy, not a replacement for fundamental lifestyle changes. A reality check is crucial, explaining the expected trajectory of weight loss based on clinical trials, but also emphasizing that there will be inter-individual variability in response. Not everyone responds the same way. And while long-term therapy is often necessary to sustain weight loss, as we discussed, an initial 3-month assessment for efficacy and tolerability is a pragmatic step to determine if the medication is a good fit for that individual.
Then A for adverse effects. This is often where people get hesitant, fearing side effects. How should these potential adverse effects be discussed to avoid unnecessary alarm, yet ensure patients are prepared?
Yeah, this is a delicate balance. When discussing A for adverse effects, the possibility of experiencing them, particularly those common gastrointestinal symptoms like nausea, diarrhea, or dyspepsia, must be mentioned transparently and upfront.
No surprises.
Right. But it's equally important to reassure patients that these are typically mild and transient, often diminishing over time as the body adjusts to the medication. Providing clear, actionable suggestions for mitigation, as detailed in the guidelines tables, can significantly reduce distress.
Like what?
For example, advising small, frequent meals, avoiding high-fat or high-carb foods initially, or trying comfort foods like ginger candy for nausea. It's also incredibly helpful to explain that these effects are often a sign that the drug is starting to work, which can reframe a potentially negative experience into a positive reinforcement.
It means it's working.
Sort of, yeah. And when appropriate, corrective management with other medications, such as ondansetron for severe nausea or PPIs for dyspepsia, can also be offered.
Okay, moving to C for cost. For many people, especially in settings where healthcare is largely out of pocket, like in India, cost is a very significant barrier to accessing these powerful new treatments. How can healthcare providers address this transparently and help patients navigate it?
Addressing C for cost transparently and early in the conversation is absolutely essential. And this raises a crucial question. How can we frame this for the patient? A thorough cost-benefit analysis can be incredibly helpful.
Weighing the pros and cons.
Exactly. Comparing the medication price to the potential long-term economic impact of untreated obesity and its associated complications, think about the costs of managing advanced diabetes or recurrent cardiovascular events. Sometimes, these medications can even lead to overall cost reductions by decreasing the need for other glucose-lowering or blood pressure-lowering therapies.
Could save money in the long run.
Potentially, yes. While not strictly evidence-backed for all cases, pragmatic prescriptions with lower or less frequent doses might sometimes be proposed to reduce initial cost, always with proper disclosure to the patient about potential impacts on efficacy. It's about finding a sustainable solution.
Finally, we have K for knowledge. What kind of specific knowledge do patients need to feel truly empowered and capable of effective self-care and self-management?
K for knowledge focuses squarely on empowering the patient. Self-care and self-management are mandatory for success. Patients need to acquire practical skills to optimize their attitude, behavior, and daily choices.
Practical skill.
Right. This includes mastering correct medication administration techniques, especially for self-injection, learning how to screen for and manage local site reactions, and understanding how to avoid issues like lipohypertrophy, which is a lump of fat under the skin from repeated injections in the same spot.
Injection technique matters.
It does. Beyond these practicalities, there are crucial specific considerations. Mandatory contraception counseling for women of childbearing age planning anti-obesity medication or bariatric surgery is vital.
Why is that?
Because significant weight loss can affect fertility, and some medications may pose risks during pregnancy or interact with oral contraceptives. This counseling needs to continue for at least 3 months after stopping medication or 12-18 months after bariatric surgery. With tirzepatide, for instance, women on oral contraceptives might need to switch to non-oral methods or add a barrier method. Additionally, micronutrient supplementation may be required in specific cases, like those on very restricted diets or with higher requirements, such as adolescents.
Okay, here's a question for you to ponder.
According to the BILI-SEEK framework for medication counseling, what does the L stand for? A, long-term commitment. B, lifestyle changes. C, limitations. D, local reactions.
One more to go. So it's really clear that successful obesity management isn't just about the drug itself, but the entire support system and educational framework built around it. It's a comprehensive ecosystem of care.
Exactly. This is why counseling and motivational tactics should be deeply integrated into routine clinical practice. It also means that all members of the obesity care team, from doctors to nurses and dietitians, should be thoroughly trained in motivational therapeutics and advanced counseling skills.
The whole team needs to be involved.
Yes. The guidelines stress that repeated counseling consistently adds value. It's genuinely value-added therapy. This continuous engagement fosters greater patient satisfaction, ensures optimal therapeutic outcomes by making the patient feel respected, heard, and truly responded to, and promotes shared decision-making in their health journey. It's about building a partnership.
And the guidelines reinforce this by clearly stating that proper and continuous counseling covering all aspects of benefits, limitations, adverse effects, and cost is absolutely essential. And educating patients on correct administration techniques, along with crucial contraception advice for women of childbearing age, is paramount.
This holistic approach ensures a truly comprehensive, empathetic, and ultimately more effective approach to medication management. It moves beyond a purely transactional prescription model to a true partnership between the patient and the healthcare provider, meticulously maximizing the chances of long-term success and diligently minimizing potential risks. 2-second pause. Section D, Social Management of Obesity.
Okay, this final section takes us beyond the individual patient, recognizing obesity as a social syndrome that reflects broader societal issues. What does it mean for obesity to be a social syndrome? How does this perspective change our approach to the crisis?
Yeah, this is a truly profound shift in perspective. It's moving away from viewing obesity as purely an individual failing and instead recognizing it as a systemic issue.
Society plays a role.
A huge role. When we say obesity is a social syndrome, it means it's deeply influenced by powerful social determinants like economic status, educational attainment, cultural norms, and even the built environment, the physical spaces where we live and work.
How so?
For instance, socioeconomic disparities often lead to unequal access to healthy, affordable food options, sometimes forcing reliance on cheaper, calorie-dense processed foods and limited access to safe, recreational facilities. These factors exacerbate the epidemic in lower-income populations. Tools like the Kupaswamy scale can be used in India to assess socioeconomic status, underscoring its direct relevance as a diagnostic and strategic tool to understand these underlying social factors.
So it's not just about willpower.
Not at all. It highlights that tackling obesity requires more than just individual willpower. It fundamentally requires systemic and societal change.
How crucial are family dynamics and the immediate home environment in this battle against obesity? What role do family support systems play?
Family support systems play an absolutely vital role in adherence to lifestyle interventions. I mean, think about it. Our families often shape our eating habits, activity levels, and overall health behaviors right from childhood.
Habits start at home.
Exactly. These crucial support systems can be effectively evaluated using validated scales designed specifically for measuring family dynamics related to health behaviors, like the Family Health Behavior Scale or FHBS. This tool assesses parental behavior regarding meal routines, physical activity, children's health, etc. We clearly need similar robust tools for adults to fully understand and leverage family influences, as strong family support can make a profound difference in sustaining healthy habits and fostering a supportive environment for positive change.
The guidelines actually recommend actively involving family members in clinical visits for obesity management. Why is this considered so beneficial, and what impact can it have?
Research has consistently shown that parental involvement is crucial for significantly improving weight outcomes in children and adolescents. Extending this to adults, engaging the entire family in treatment, a concept rooted in family systems theory, or FST, can effectively address any dysfunctional behaviors or patterns within the family that might hinder progress.
Getting everyone on the same page.
Precisely. It also powerfully reinforces positive changes at home, leading to much better adherence to dietary recommendations and physical activity goals. Intensive behavioral therapy programs that explicitly include family members have shown great promise. It essentially transforms the home environment into a supportive ecosystem that champions health for everyone.
What about expanding beyond the immediate family to the wider community? How can community support networks contribute to the social management of obesity?
Yeah, this raises an important question about collective responsibility, doesn't it? How can we effectively foster a sense of community around shared health goals? Establishing community support networks where individuals can share experiences, challenges, and successes can be incredibly empowering and provide a real sense of belonging.
Strength in numbers.
Absolutely. Peer support groups can powerfully encourage healthy behaviors, offering both accountability and mutual motivation. However, it's also important to acknowledge, as the guidelines subtly note, that some social networks might inadvertently reinforce unhealthy eating habits or sedentary lifestyles.
Okay, the right kind of support.
Exactly. Such negative influences should be gently navigated or, if possible, avoided. It's truly about finding and cultivating the right tribe, a supportive social environment that actively champions positive health choices.
The guidelines offer some really concrete and culturally relevant examples of how communities in India can encourage healthier lifestyles. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're actionable initiatives.
Absolutely. Think about practical, community-based exercise sessions held in local parks or public spaces, organized group workouts, or accessible yoga classes. Peer-led exercise groups can foster powerful accountability and mutual encouragement, making physical activity more enjoyable and sustainable.
Making fitness fun and social.
Right. And the guidelines even cleverly suggest integrating traditional Indian games like kabaddi and kho to promote physical fitness while simultaneously respecting and celebrating cultural heritage. This makes exercise culturally relevant and enjoyable rather than feeling like a chore.
That's smart.
It is. Practices like yoga, traditional folk dances, martial arts, and even religious pilgrimages can inherently foster community engagement while encouraging active lifestyles. In fact, involving local religious leaders can significantly enhance community outreach by promoting healthy choices within their congregations, leveraging existing social structures, and respected figures for effective health promotion.
So, to summarize the key recommendations for social management, the guidelines stress considering socioeconomic status and treatment plans, systematically assessing family support, actively engaging spouses and family members in clinical appointments, leveraging community support networks, and encouraging participation in community-based or peer-led exercise groups.
This comprehensive approach truly solidifies the understanding of obesity as a social syndrome. It necessitates a broad societal response that extends far beyond just individual clinical interventions. It powerfully acknowledges the intricate web of influences on health and provides actionable strategies to address them at multiple interconnected levels, from the individual to the family to the entire community.
Okay, our final question for this deep dive.
According to the guidelines, engaging family members in clinical appointments for obesity treatment is beneficial primarily because A, it reduces the cost of medication, B, it allows for faster drug titration, C, it enhances the support system and improves adherence to lifestyle interventions, D, it is a mandatory requirement for all obesity treatments.
Last chance to test your knowledge. Finally, let's revisit Shilpa's village where we started. Imagine a place where these social management principles are beginning to take root. Inspired by a local health worker, a Walk with Wellness group started. This wasn't just about exercise. It encouraged women to meet for brisk walks and traditional folk dances, fostering a shared cultural experience.
Building community.
Exactly. Shilpa joined, and she found not only the physical activity she desperately needed, but also a vibrant community of support. They shared healthy, traditional recipes, encouraged each other through challenges, and even involved local elders to share wisdom on active living and nutritious eating from generations past.
Connecting generations, too.
Right. This collective effort, recognizing that health is indeed a community-wide endeavor, slowly but surely began to shift the village's health trajectory. It proved that social support, cultural integration, and peer encouragement can be as profoundly powerful as any medication.
Shilpa's community beautifully illustrates the practical, real-world application of these social management principles. It shows how effectively addressing the social syndrome of obesity through collective action, culturally relevant activities, and robust peer support can genuinely create lasting positive health behaviors. This powerful example reinforces that individualized care truly flourishes and achieves its greatest impact within a supportive, understanding, and engaged ecosystem where health is a shared journey, not a solitary struggle. So as we wrap up this illuminating deep dive into the ESI's updated guidelines for obesity management in India, what are the biggest, most crucial takeaways for you, our listeners?
Okay, first, a critical insight. The epidemiology of obesity in India is rapidly changing and profoundly complex. It affects all age groups, from children to older adults, and manifests in unique phenotypes like that thin fat obesity, which means relying solely on BMI for accurate health assessment just isn't enough.
Second, we're truly in a golden age of pharmacological options. Powerful new medications like semaglutide and tirzepatide, along with exciting combinations like CagriSema, are offering unprecedented levels of weight loss and, crucially, broader cardiometabolic benefits that protect against serious diseases.
Third, comprehensive and continuous medication counseling is non-negotiable for successful long-term outcomes. Following frameworks like the BLCK model, it's essential to ensure patients fully understand the benefits, the realistic limitations, potential adverse effects, cost implications, and correct administration techniques for their medications.
And finally, a fundamental shift in understanding. Obesity is unequivocally a social syndrome. This demands a holistic approach that seamlessly integrates socioeconomic considerations, strong family support, and active community engagement to foster lasting lifestyle changes that extend far beyond individual efforts. Provocative thought.
This entire discussion raises an incredibly important and, I think, provocative question for all of us. If obesity is increasingly and accurately viewed as a chronic disease requiring lifelong management, much like hypertension or type 2 diabetes, how fundamentally must our healthcare systems, our societal perceptions, and even our personal responsibilities evolve to truly meet this complex challenge head-on? Not just in India, but globally. What role will you, the informed listener, play in advocating for a more comprehensive understanding and compassionate treatment of this multifaceted condition within your own sphere of influence?
And that brings us to the end of another enlightening deep dive. We've journeyed through the intricate landscape of obesity in India, from its surprising epidemiological shifts and unique challenges, to the groundbreaking medications on the horizon, and the absolutely crucial human elements of counseling and community support that underpin lasting change.
We truly hope this deep dive has provided you with a clearer, more nuanced understanding of this complex global health challenge, empowering you with valuable knowledge and actionable insights.
Thank you for joining us on the deep dive. Remember, staying informed is the essential first step towards better health for yourself, your loved ones, and your community. Until next time, keep digging, keep learning, and keep asking those big, important questions. MCQ answers and explanations. Okay, let's quickly go over the answers to our MCQs. MCQ 1. Which of the following best describes ectopic lipids in the context of obesity?
The answer is B, fat stored in specific organs like the liver or pancreas.
Right, that's the metabolically harmful fat stored where it shouldn't be. MCQ 2. According to the ICMR India B study, which group had a higher prevalence of obesity in India?
That was C, urban populations.
Consistent finding across the country, linked to lifestyle shifts. MCQ 3. Thin fat obesity primarily refers to individuals who
D, appear to be of normal weight, but have a high percentage of body fat, especially visceral fat.
The skinny fat phenomenon, particularly relevant in South Asian populations. MCQ 4. Liraglutide's prolonged half-life, 11 to 13 hours, is primarily due to
Its avid binding to serum albumin.
that binding protects it from breaking down quickly, allowing once-daily dosing. MCQ 5. Which anti-obesity medication primarily works by blocking the absorption of dietary fat?
C, orlistat.
The lipase inhibitor that works in the gut. MCQ 6. According to the Step 1 extension trial, discontinuing semaglutide therapy for 1 year resulted in
C, regain of 2/3 of the lost body weight.
really highlights obesity as a chronic condition needing ongoing management. MCQ 7. Cagrilintide, a component of CagriSema, is described as A.
C, long-acting amylin analog peptide.
The other part of that powerful dual mechanism combination, MCQ 8. What is a key differentiating feature of tirzepatide compared to semaglutide?
B, it is a dual agonist for GIP and GLP-1 receptors.
Targeting two key incretin hormones for broader metabolic effects. MCQ 9. According to the BLC framework for medication counseling, what does the L stand for?
Limitations.
Emphasizing realistic expectations and the need for lifestyle changes alongside meds. And finally, MCQ 10. According to the guidelines, engaging family members in clinical appointments for obesity treatment is beneficial primarily because
C, it enhances the support system and improves adherence to lifestyle interventions.
leveraging that crucial family support for better outcomes. Hopefully you got most of